Third row SUVs are becoming more and more popular. Unfortunately, when you get a 4Motion in a Volkswagen Tiguan, you will not be able to get the third row option. Today, Joshua has given us the all-new 2022 Volkswagen Tiguan SE R-Line Black in your pure white here at Volkswagen of Newport Richey. The best-selling nameplate both globally and domestically has updated the exterior elements, making it more sporty and up to date with a new face, standard LEDs, updated driver gauges, and more. Is this sporty small third row SUV the one for you? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and we're going to go over all the specs and details starting now. The VW Tiguan cleans up the face with a more aggressive styling. New grille is integrated with the new badging of Volkswagen. Also, the updates include the new LED headlamps, daylight running, and fog lamps. So I usually get comments about the Tiguan saying, you know what, can we change the lights and make them LED? Just get a 2022, because now you have it. Literally, Volkswagen went down the list of what people have been asking and said, you know what, we're going to throw it together in this model, and I think they did a great job. Carrying on with the revised bumper, you got the R-Line badging, everything blacked out on the top trim with the chrome bars, and then on the lower trim, a lot of non-functional vents. However, the styling that you're getting makes it look sporty and more fast looking with a little bit of an agile twist to it. The hood line proportions is just a touch more than it needs to be for the speed, because this is not necessarily the fastest SUV on the market, but I do like how it broadens up the shoulders, giving you a width of 72.4 inches and a height of 66.5 inches. Even though we have all this going down on the lower spoiler area, ground clearance at 7.9 inches. All those lines that just rip over your fenders, encasing these 18-inch black 5 double-spoke alloy wheels. 13.4 inches is the disc reading in the front that are ventilated. The rear is at 11.8 inches. It's ventilated. A strut front suspension, a multi-link rear suspension. Both the front and the rear will have your coil springs, a length at 186.1 inches. So it's not that long of a vehicle, with the wheelbase at 109.9 inches. Black roof rails is going to set the tone with the R-Line badging, and that's all part of that R-Line black package, which also gives you the line structure on the lower door trims, the side view mirror caps. You get the badging on the side as well, so on all 4 corners, which you'll see in a second, you can see that R-Line, which is something you want to because you're paying a premium for it. On the window treatment, they only put it in between, not encasing all of it. So that is something I wish that they at least put it all over, but you do get the Volkswagen badging at least, so they do pay attention to detail, and I like the fact that in the German line, they actually do that. All the line segments either have a good purpose for aerodynamics, or they just fit with the symbols or in the door handle, so everything is really looked at going into your wraparound LED taillights, new rear bumper with the gloss black, even in the dual exhaust trims. I like the fact that they put the black as well. They're not exhaust, they're just there, and it gives a purpose for the Volkswagen line because they do it for all of their vehicles. I do like that the reverse parking sensors are really tucked in with the gloss black. You can barely see them at all, if you can at all. Towing up to 1,500 pounds. You have a little bit of a roof spoiler, not too much. I wish this was black so it'd give more of a sporty heritage, but you do have the gloss black on the shark fin antenna, and I do like that the Tiguan badging, it's just enough. It gives a settled touch, but it gives a luxury touch as well, so it's a little mixture in between. Power tailgate going inside to 12 cubic feet. There's storage underneath the floor with a spare tire. You could split fold the third row at a 50-50 split. That's going to take you into 33 cubic feet. The second row bench split folds to a 40-20-40, maxing the cargo to 65.7 cubic feet. The new Volkswagen Tiguan has updated some of the elements on the exterior. However, it's still the same platform and still pretty much the same vehicle. You're going to get the same powertrain with a 2.0 liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine producing 184 horsepower and 221 pound-feet of torque that's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission or Tiptronic, achieving 23 to 30 mpgs. That's about a mile per gallon more than last year's model. 0 to 60 is a little bit faster at 8.6 seconds. The styling cues that they've done, I really do like how everything is set up, especially with the spec that we got. Let me know in the comments what you think about the 2022 Volkswagen Tiguan SE R-Line Black as we go into the interior, go over the tech, and take this for our test run. Entering inside the Volkswagen Tiguan SE R-Line Black. Headroom at 39.2 inches, 40.2 inches of legroom, cinnamon leatherette, 10-way power adjustment for the driver. Unfortunately, manual adjustment for the passenger. And, you know, just because of the price point we're at, this is the SE R-Line Black, and you got all that cool aesthetics. Give me some power seats for the passenger at least. Updates start with your standard Volkswagen digital cockpit. It is 8 inches. You could go through an array of information, and you can change the screen, so you can have 3 screens, and you could go through all different settings on both screens, which is really cool. And I like the fact that they're doing this. You can upgrade to a 10.3 cluster, which would make it enormous in my book. I think the 8 inch is sufficient. Also, what you're going to receive new, a new leather wrapped steering wheel. You got the perforated, you got the soft leather, R-Line badging, gloss black with your touch control buttons. Now, people have been complaining here and there. I've read it, and I've also done some research about the vehicle. So far, I haven't had that many issues with pushing the button and getting it to where I need it to be. A lot of people say it's this, it's that. It's the same thing, it's just touch sensitive. That's really the only difference. The last update that is really cool in my book is the touch sensitive Climatron dual climate control, which is right here, and makes it so quick and easy to turn the air condition up or down, or your heating up or down. And I like that, you know, heated front seats as well. These are things that people have been asking for. Volkswagen is implementing it. You will have an 8-inch touchscreen with navigation. We don't have navigation in this model, which is another no-no in my book. But, you know, it is what it is. You get Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, FM, AM, HD radio, Bluetooth connectivity. So you have all your connectivities. You don't really have to worry in that category because you can use your phone for your navigation. The dashboard, I like that we have this gloss, grayish, metallic look that are around all of the air vents, and you got this silver, kind of like a carbon fiber look on the dashboard, also on the door panels, and I think it just sets a good tone because it keeps that sporty feel to it. You have your racing pedals as well for that R-Line, so they're going to be stained steel. I do like that. As for the center here, you're going to get your wireless charging pad. You get the gloss gray metallic around your gear lever, and I like the fact that everything is kind of right there. It's not all spread out. They really are cleaning everything up. Cup holders, you can easily fit a 20 ounce, 16.9 ounce water bottle. Area for your key fob, or if you need to put your pins. Opening up in here, some more storage. You can fit maybe 3 or 4 16.9 ounce water bottles. As for the elbows, this is the big deal. It's going to be kind of sort of soft on both perimeters. It's not going to be hard like books, but it's not going to be soft like a pillow. As for the door panel, you're going to get that carbon fiber look on the top. You get the leatherette with the contrast stitching. One touch up and down for all of the windows, which is a nice thing. As for storage, I would say you can fit maybe 4 or 5 16.9 ounce water bottles. We do not have a moon roof in this one as well, so we are missing some of the hip cool features, but we do get all of the upgrades. Let's check out that second row. For the second row, I'm at 39.1 inches of headroom, 36.5 inches of legroom. You got central air vents in the rear, one USB and a 12-volt storage behind both of the front seats. The floor is not completely flat. It's going to be soft here for the elbows, a little bit more firm on the door panel, but you can adjust these seats, so it is pretty nice. You can adjust them pretty far up, as you can see, which this is probably the position I'll put it in when I go into the rear. You obviously see I can't fit without having the driver move his seat up. So we're going to move it all the way back. And, I mean, it's a pretty decent sit. You do sit a little bit upright, but you can also recline it. You just have to go like this. in order to do so. And it reclines pretty nice. It actually becomes a lot more comfortable sitting in this position. Cup holders, you can easily fit a 20 ounce in the center. As you can see, a 16.9 ounce water bottle will just fall because plenty of space. The storage tray in the center, you really can't fit nothing but like a flip phone. As for the door panel, you're going to get harder materials on the top. The gloss black goes around the door trim handle. And on the grab handle, you're going to get that silver with the speaker in between on this leather red as well. You will get one touch up and down, and you can probably fit about 3 or 4 16.9 ounce water bottles. Let's see how I look in the center. Sitting into the center, headroom is no problems at all. Leg room, I put the passenger seat as far back as possible without reclining it. The driver's seat is where I would be sitting, and I could fit if I was basically driving. If anyone's more than 6'3", it's going to be very difficult. The actual space for the buttocks is going to be a little tight as well because the seats don't really flare out much. The best part is you got headroom. That's really going to help you if you're tall, because otherwise shoulder and butt space is going to be quite tough for people tall like me. But the real challenge will be seeing how I fit in the third row. So I'm going to just, like I said, put it all the way up pretty much like this, to see how I fit back in that third row. For the third row, I'm at 33.8 inches of headroom, 27.9 inches of legroom. I had to keep the seats adjusted forward because this is adjusted all the way back and reclined. And I tried. It was very tight. I mean, my legs were pretty much against my stomach. There's nothing here to rest my arm. As for the side, it's hard material. You do have a cup holder that you can fit about a 20 ounce in an area you can fit a smaller phone. The window isn't too small. You're not going to feel necessarily claustrophobic. It's a tight fit to fit anyone back here on the third row. Taking the more or less all-new 2022 Volkswagen Tiguan SE R-Line Black out for our test run. I always like the Tiguan. I think it's a pretty good SUV. You get a lot for the price point as well. This vehicle is mid-30s, about $33,000, $34,000. But you get all those sporty aesthetics, and in the interior, they're giving you the updates that everybody's been asking for. So I do like the fact that Volkswagen is listening to the actual customer. Customer isn't necessarily always right, but I think, you know what? At this point, they did a good job. We're going to put it in a Tiptronic so we can see how well this thing performs, giving it some gas, and it's ready to rock and roll. And you know, I like how everything is set up with the gauge cluster. You can see the gears because that's the way I have it set. It doesn't have navigation. So I have the compass, and I think it, you know, sets a good tone. You know your miles per hour, and that's really all you need. Stopping on the car, you can see, not an issue as well. It's not such a wide car, and you feel cocooned inside. Giving it some gas from a stop point, and she's ready to rock and roll. It's definitely a torquey feel, and because it's not such a long vehicle, you can maneuver the vehicle in and out relatively easy without any issues. So these are things that's good. As for the sound dampening, it does sound pretty quiet inside the cabin, so I do like the fact that it's not overly noisy. And I mean, you got upgraded tires, you got a lot going on in the exterior. I don't necessarily like these little side windows. They remind me of little Prius windows. That's what I always say in all of my reviews. But as for the sit, you do sit pretty high up, so almost 8 inches of ground clearance. The hood isn't so long, but you do know where your front bumper rests, so that is a good point. As for the dynamics, you can see it's going to be extremely boaty. It's not derived to be too sporty in that category. You got the blind spot monitoring, so you don't have to worry also, so that makes it pretty safe. And checking the turn radius, hard braking in the car, not an issue. I do like that. Red light, green light, 184 horsepower at its best with a turbocharge. You're gonna hear the engine note, but for the most part, it's a pretty pleasant vehicle to drive. Now, there is 3 things I like and 3 things that I dislike. Is anything more than that, I'd be buying this vehicle. The 3 things that I like is you are getting these updates in the cabin. So touch sensitive controls. That's awesome. The gauge cluster is digital. We're really moving with the times here. The second thing that I like about the vehicle is if you want to, you can fit everyone for 3 rows of seating. However, there's a disadvantage. We'll get to that in a second. The third thing that I like about the vehicle, it's not that long of an SUV, so you can get in and out of everything if need be. 3 things that I dislike about the vehicle. Yes, there's 3 rows, but it's absolutely very difficult to fit anyone that's an adult in that third row. Doing so, you have to move the second row and possibly the driver and passenger seat, something that I dislike. The second thing that I dislike, the air vent situation in that third row is super hot as well, and I'm not trying to keep complaining about the third row, but it's pretty tight and it's hot. Charging ports, we're lacking in that. We're gonna just put that as 2 items. The third thing that I dislike about the vehicle is they didn't really change anything but aesthetic. So the powertrain's the same, you got the same suspension, you got everything underneath here, the same platform even. There's nothing changed except for they put some flashy aesthetics, which I like where they're going with the flashy aesthetics, and I like the fact that they kept the torquey feel to the engine. Just, you know, when you're doing a refresh, it's not really a refresh if you don't really do it. But at least they kept the elements that we all do like, and you are getting about a mile per gallon more than the previous model. And it is a vehicle you can drive on a daily basis. And price point, it's hard to complain about a lot of things because you get so much with this vehicle. Turn radius at more or less a stop point is going to get about 2 lanes, 221 pound-feet of torque. So you can hear that engine roar up. Hey, you know, it gets what it needs to get done. The Tiptronic is always fun in the car. And as for the width of it, I mean, like I've been saying through the whole review, it's not overly wide, it's not overly long. You can pretty much see almost all the way to the rear, even with the blind spot monitor. I have to say, driving the vehicle, you start to like a lot more than dislike when you are in the Tiguan. The steering wheel, for instance, I mean, the feel to it, it's nice, got a good grip, and it, you know, the touch sensitive controls. I have been playing with them throughout the whole review, and I've had the car in my possession for a while, and I haven't had any issues with it. It is super easy. I like the fact too that you can just slide up and down to cool or heat anything you want. Obviously, I'm not going to use the heated seats because of what it is, but driving it normally, going over anything, it soaks up everything well. If you drive a little bit hard, you're going to feel a little bit more of the dynamics, but it's not going to be super aggressive. We're going to take this back to Volkswagen and Newport Richie, go over the reverse camera, and wrap this review up. Switching to reverse, you do have trajectory. It's a very clean screen. Click onto here so you can see your front and reverse parking sensors. If you click this here, you can also close it, and you can change different functionalities to make it easier for your reversing. I'd like to thank Joshua here at Volkswagen of Newport Richie for giving us this 2022 Volkswagen Tiguan SE R-Line Black for our car review. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Hawkeye community. If not, click that subscribe button. Check out the details in the merchandise and everything we do here at Hawkeye Rocks.